What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Tembrews here, back today with a new tutorial for you. So in the last tutorial, I broke down the breaks of a Future House track that I made, Future House / Future Bounce, and today I'm going to be breaking down the drop for you guys. This is a track I released on High Five Music called Your Heartbreak. If you haven't heard it yet, it's on all streaming platforms. I'm going to link it down below in the description. Thank you for everyone who has streamed it and showed support. Means the world to me. Really appreciate it. And if you're new to my channel, I make tutorials like this. I also come out with new music every week. I make EDM, rap beats, remixes, as well as some original tracks. So if you're feeling generous, hit the subscribe button and comment down below what you think of the video, what you want to see me make next. Really helps me grow the channel. So let's get into it here. I have the project file open. I use Logic Pro X. And let's get into the drop. So let's start with the bass, guys. And first, I'm just going to play it for you. Here is the bass. So that's the bass, guys. I thought it was pretty catchy. So I'm going to break it down. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers in this bass. Don't usually do that much layering for bass, but in this genre, I think it's common, I would say. I've watched a lot of Brooks tutorials in the past. He's one of my favorite producers. He makes the style of music, kind of, and he would just layer his bass a ton. Not gonna lie, it's kind of a pain. It's difficult to layer, not even just bass, but layering a lot of layers in general can be difficult to get it to sound good, because sometimes you can have too much going on and layer too much. But I'm happy with how this turned out. So the main bass sound would be this one. It's a Serum preset from a pack I bought. It's called Essence. And the pack is called TPS Futuristic Volume 2. I've been using this pack a ton. I think it's well worth the money. It wasn't that expensive. I can't quite remember how much it was, but I've been using it a lot. It's amazing for Future House and Future Bounce, which I make a lot. So preset's called Dark. Can't really remember like how much I tweak them. Sometimes I don't tweak them. Other times I'll tweak some things here and there with the built-in effects. And then I'll also play with like the release, sustain, decay, and attack and hold. Just these knobs over here. But I will play with those till I get the right sound. And this is the pattern for the bass. So as you can see, it's a half bar bass line pattern. So I'm going E to C, then to G and D. And then I just change up the last note in the 4th bar. So instead of going G to D, I'll go up. I'll go G to A. Highly recommend this. It just makes your melody less repetitive. Melody or bass line less repetitive. Changes it up a little. Keeps the listener interested. Another big thing with this song and this style of music in general, I also believe I learned this from Brooks, but a lot of Future Bounce, Future House producers do this. So I have some notes an octave higher. It just adds more tone, more pitch to it. Makes it way more interesting, if you ask me. So just for example, This note right here is still E, same as these two. It's just up an octave higher. Just play around. You can, obviously I don't have all the notes up an octave higher, so it kind of swings up and down, and you can just play around with it, find which notes sound good an octave higher, or if they do at all. And yeah, so lost my train of thought here a bit. Apologize, guys. So then the next layer here is called, it's a preset called Jump. This is from a Spin-In Records pack on Splice. I use Splice a lot. Love it. Great loops, samples, presets. This one's has less tone. It's more punchy, really punchy. Just gives some like attack and punch to the bass line. Also doing the octave higher with this one. I'm doing it with all the bass sounds in this song, but sometimes I'll only have some of the basses doing this octave higher technique, but in this one I do have all of them. And I do have all the basses going to a bus. Let's see, I did process them individually, I believe all the same. So I'm cutting out the sub to make room for the sub bass with an EQ up to 100 Hertz. Camel Crusher with the British Clean preset. It's a distortion plugin, makes it bigger, fatter. Cutting up to 100 Hertz again after the Camel Crusher. Then on this stereo imager, it's called the S1 imager from Waves. I use this a lot. I have the width set all the way down to 0 so that the bass is mono. Usually, not always, but you'll usually want your low frequencies mono and your high frequencies wider, so like more stereo. So low frequencies would be your bass and your kick in general, but there is no rules in music, obviously. And then I'm using Kickstart for sidechain, just this free punch preset, 1/4, mix 100%. Let's check this one. I believe it's the same. Yep, same. The third layer here is going to be this wider bass. See, this is also from Serum. It's the same bass as the original one, as the main one, the first one, except this one is up an octave higher, so it just has more tone, has more high end to it. I think I like to do this a lot. I have like a preset of effects for like a wide bass, pretty much the same as the other ones, except I have, for the stereo imager, I have the width set to 1.2, so this bass is not in mono. It kind of just adds some character, makes the bass bigger. So yeah, sometimes when you're layering, an easy thing to do that I do a lot, you can use the same preset. You don't always have to find different presets, but so like you can use the same preset and then put it an octave higher or lower, and then if you do that, it's going to be playing different frequencies than the other octave. So you can do that, but usually you don't want to layer the same bass if it's playing the same octaves, because essentially then it's just playing the same thing. It's just making it louder, which you could just raise the volume on one of them, if that makes sense. So this is 3 basses together. Then another thing I learned from Brooks, he'll have like these aggressive kind of like dubstep like bass shots, and this is what I have here. As you can hear, it's really like aggressive, dirty, which is dope, I think. I believe I found this in like a Vengeance sample pack, and I just loaded it into the Logic sampler. So you can just play all the notes like this. Processing, I believe it's the same. Let me just double check here. Yep, processing the exact same. And then another thing I did that I heard in a couple other songs. I kind of have this other bass just playing at different times than the other basses. So let me just solo these. So you can kind of hear it there. It's subtle. It's called Underneath. It's a preset from Serum from the Music by Lucas pack. And that's exactly what it is, the name Underneath. It's kind of meant to be just underneath, a little bit in the background. You definitely hear the difference if I mute it, but it's not in your face. It just kind of adds some more like rhythm and swing to the track. And then of course I have the sub bass here. Processing on this one the same, and the sub, I have a preset of plugins for my sub. EQ, I'm just cutting out the high end, everything up to 100 hertz. Camel Crusher, another EQ, cutting to 100 hertz. S1, making it mono, and then sidechain, of course. Let me solo it just so you guys can hear it. Hopefully you can hear that. It's punchy sub, I think. This is just a built-in Serum preset called Sub. Actually, scratch that. It's not. Sometimes I use a built-in Serum one, but this one is also from the TPS pack. It's a bass preset called Subtitle. I think it's pretty punchy. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so I think I said this. I'm sending all the basses to a bus. So now I'm just going to solo the bus. This is all the basses together. So I have a few things on the bus. I have OTT with the depth set to 30%. Just kind of compressing it, squashing it a little, so all the presets kind of sound more together. Looks like I turned all the lows, mids, and highs up. Mostly the lows and mids, and just a little bit of the highs. This is without the OTT. This is with. So that sounds a lot like bigger, I think. And then I just have another side chain on the bus. I have two. Not really sure why I have two here. I guess just to make sure that it's ducking when the kick hits. But yeah, and then alright, so no automation on the bass. So that's the bass, guys. Next thing, I layered the bass with some chords. So I have this piano as one of the layers. This is a piano preset I found on Splice. I'm cutting the lows to 200 so it doesn't crash with the bass. Then I'm also doing a duck here around like 260 hertz. I must have heard like some bad frequencies there. Camel Crusher, and then cutting out the low end again. I'll let you hear that again. These are the chords. So it's the same bass notes, and then I'll just make chords out of the bass notes. I do that a lot. Chords just they're kind of in the background. They help fill up the space though. This is the second chord layer. So this one's a lot more like synthy. This is a Future House preset that I also found on Splice. The pack is called Rane's Future House. I think it's like a drop gun sample pack, but it's called Drop Chords. Same processing as the piano. Then the last layer is a classic EDM saw. Also a splice preset from Cashmere. Shout out Cashmere. Same processing there as well. And then I do have the 3 layers of chords also going to a bus. Let me just find it real quick. Okay, here it is. And you may be able to notice that the chords sound kind of glitchy. That's because I have some automation here. The reason they sound glitchy is I automated the volume. It kind of gives you that like bouncy effect. So honestly, it takes a while, but I just played around with the volume, having it mute at certain places and then go, so it's going down and then up. Just gives it more like a bouncy feel. If I turn it off, this is what it sounds like. So super simple. By themselves, it sounds kind of weird actually, with the glitchiness, but I'm also doing this to the leads, which I'll show you in a sec. They sound good all together, I think. And then as you can see here, I'm also automating the reverb. This is another thing that's done a lot in this style of music, and to be honest, I'm still not sure if I do it the best, but the idea is basically, I learned it in a bunch of tutorials. When the notes hit, they'll be dry, and then as the notes end, you'll have the reverb go up, so it kind of fills up the space in between the notes with reverb. Hopefully you can kind of hear that. It's kind of subtle, but it all adds up. I'm just automating the mix on my reverb, which is Valhalla Room. Let's see. As you can see, the mix is going up and down. And the processing on the chords, cutting out the low end to 200 hertz. I have another OTT, depth at 30% again. Barely touched the lows and the highs. I don't think I did. I just brought up the mids here on OTT. Then I'm cutting out the lows again. Then we got our reverb. These are the settings I have. I'm automating the mix right here. Large room, and I bring the bass multiplier all the way down usually, and then I just play with these other settings till I get a good sound that I like. Stereo imager, widening it, and then again I have 2 side chains. Not sure why I have 2. So that is the chords, guys. So now I'm going to play you the chords with the bass. So I think those sound good together. And now I'd say the most important part is the leads. Let's get into those. All right. Try to find the okay, let's see. So I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. I have 10 layers in the lead, which seems like too much, but I like how the end product came out. I wish I could tell you which one I started with. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just gonna guess that it was this one. So I think I like to use this one a lot. It's a preset called Astro, also in that TPS pack. Processing, I'm cutting out the lows. Then I also did a dip here at 260. Must have been some mud. Camel Crusher, cutting out the lows again. That's what I did on all the leads individually. And this is the lead pattern. thought it was a catchy melody here. And I'm going to go through all the layers here with you, one by one. So here we have this one called Hold. It's from the same pack, I'm almost positive. This one's more like digital. Then we have this one called Transportation. This one's more plucky, which gives it more attack. Then we have this one called Together. This one has more tone to it, I think. Then we have Retro Vibes. This one really is just giving it that clicky sound, that punch to it. It's not, obviously not one of the main leads, but makes a difference, I thought. Then we have this Dirty Horn, which is a Oliver preset from Splice. Shout out Oliver, he has a lot of good packs on Splice. Some of you may know. Then we have Lunar Bounce, lead preset from Spinnin'. Then we have Old School, which is a preset from a Blaster Jacks pack, which is also on Splice. This one's very like digital. Then we have Pluto, also from Spinnin'. And then this last one is from, I believe, a Drop Gun sample pack again from Splice. It's plucky, but it has some tone to it. Definitely has like that future house sound that I was going for. Alright, and then again I have all the leads going to a bus, which is this. So I'm going to play, this is the leads without any of the processing on the bus. As you can see or hear, it sounds very weird without the processing. So let me turn everything back on. This is with. So I have an EQ cutting out the low end again. OTT again, you know it. Death is at 30%. I left the lows alone and I brought up the highs and the mid frequencies. Cutting out the lows again after that. I did another dip here around 240 hertz. Whenever I do that, it's because like I was looking to take away some bad or harsh frequencies. Then I have Valhalla Room, and just like the chords, I'm automating the reverb mix. Stereo Imager, the width is set to 1.6. I'm just making the lead super wide. And then 2 side chains again from Kickstart. The main thing about this drop and song that gives it the bounce is the volume automation. The same thing I did with the chords, I did it on the leads as well. As you can see right here. I'm going to play it for you. With the volume automation turned off, this is what the lead sounds like. Then this is with. Just gives it way more bounce, gives it a different rhythm. So that's a great way to like give your drop more rhythm, automate the volume and the reverb as well. That's the reverb automation, same as the chords. Alright guys, so now I'm going to play you the leads, chords, and bass all together now. This is what that sounds like. So I think they all sound pretty dope all together. Let me know what you think. Oh, and let's see. I feel like I'm forgetting something here. Okay. Last thing I have, not last thing, but besides the drums, I have this. I made these little vocal chops. So I loaded a vocal sample into the Logic sampler. Sounds like this. So I loaded the vocal that I'm using in the track into a sampler, so I could just play certain chops. This is the pattern. I actually think this kind of like makes the track and the drop like more unique, because if I didn't have these, still sounds good I think, but these are just something I did that I think makes it more unique. Let me know if you dig them or not. You solo them. So it's just at the on every fourth beat, and I change up some of the notes here on the second and fourth bar. As you can hear, there's a lot of reverb on them. This is the processing, cutting out the lows to 200 hertz. I have this M Auto Pitch, which is like a free auto-tune plugin. I like it a lot. Highly recommend it if you're trying to play with some auto-tune and you don't want to buy like a expensive one. This one's free. I like it a lot. I have the speed set to 100% wet. And then I made sure it's in our key of E minor. And then what I did is I pitched the formant up to 2.11. Let me turn that off. As you can see, it sounds way different with that format. I love playing with that format a lot. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but whatever. And then we got, I'm cutting out the lows again after that auto tune. Yeah, you just want to make sure after you if you're cutting the low end on sounds that aren't your bass and you put other effects on, you're going to want to check it with an EQ again, because sometimes those other effects will add low end after you cut it. So you may want to cut it again just to make sure there's no low end conflicting with the bass, and that you could get a cleaner mix that way. Then I'm using CLA vocals from Waves. I got this compressor sent to spank mode. Got it at 5.5. I have a big reverb on, as I said earlier. It's on chamber mode and up to 5. And I got the delay up to 2. Another EQ, as you know, or as you could guess. Stereo imager, making the vocal chops wide, set to 1.6. And then sidechain as well. Play those for you again. I like those a lot. So let's get into the drums, guys. Let me just loop the whole drop here. So first we got a kick from a Cashmere pack in key of E. Try to make sure your kicks are in the key of your song. Then I have a clap. Let's see the kick. I have a FabFilter Saturn on it, mostly raising the high end. It's a saturation plugin. Just makes it more punchy. You can hear like the top kick more. This is without. This is with. So I like to do that, not all the time, but sometimes can make the kick sound better. And then I just have a stereo imager setting the width to 0 to make sure that our kick is in mono. The claps, cutting out the low end, then I got some reverb on it, and I'm widening the claps. Width set to 1.6 with the S1 again. See what else we got here. Gonna go over these effects as well. I have an exhaust from a Cashmere pack hitting every 8 bars. Kind of like an impact transition type thing. I have this Cashmere drum fill at the end of every second bar. I used to never do this, but you know, adding details like drum fills, regular fills, sweeps, impacts, transitional effects are huge. They all add up. You can have a dope song, but you know the transitions are key, and all this stuff. It's not always fun because it's kind of tedious finding the right samples and fills that sound good, but definitely pays off if you put the time in. I found this pretty cool fill sample. It's like synth fills, and it's in the key of our song. I found it on Splice, I'm sure. This is what it sounds like. A lot of like glitchy tonal effects. I like that a lot. Let's see, I got this effect as well. It's kind of like a reverse synth transition effect. I have this tom hitting. It's from the TPS pack. See anything else? Alright, so second 8 bars of the drop, second half of the drop if you will, I have all the percussion coming in and the hats. So we got, let me just go to the second half of the drop here. Classic hi-hat pattern from the Futuristic pack. All I have is an EQ, cutting out the low end. A closed hi-hat here, right here. Add some more groove. Then I have this ride. Then we have a couple shakers. Here's the first one. These are shaker loops that I found on Splice. Here's the second one. Shakers and tambourines, they really add like groove to it. Get the rhythm going. Let's see if that's it. That is literally it, guys. That's the drums. Nothing too complicated there. Main thing is the kick, clap, and hats. And then, you know, just you want to get some percussion, some shaker loops, tambourines, and then just effects like transitional effects, impacts, sweeps, like I said before. So now I'm going to play the whole drop for you guys again. Everything together, this is what it sounds like. have this fill right here. Mostly silence. And then last thing, I actually have kind of like a third part of the drop where it's exactly the same. I just don't have the leads playing or the chords, so it's just the bass and the drums. So let me play you that. I'll play you it going into it. Then this uplifter going into the going into a fill and then transitioning back to the second break. So that's something I like to do in this style of music a lot, which I know Brooks does it a lot. Other artists in this genre do that. It's kind of just makes her drop longer, and I think it sounds cool. If your bass is like a focal point like this, I think it sounds cool to like have a section where it's just the bass and all the drums in the drop. And it's a way to transition from the drop more to the second verse, if you will. So that's what I did here. So that's gonna be it, guys. It's really nothing too difficult here that I did. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, message me or comment down below. I will get back to you. If you made it this far, really appreciate you. Just want to share this. Hopefully, obviously I'm no expert. Hopefully this helps other producers in some way. And if you have any tips, again, don't hesitate. Just comment. And let me know what you thought of the video overall, what you want to see me make next. Any song you want to hear me try to remix, I would love to get some requests. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's going to end it for this one. Have a great rest of your day and rest of your week. Peace.